Hello, RFM.
Good evening, Bill Real.
How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
Well, good. I was just freshening my drink.
Excellent. I've got mine as well.
As long as you don't have mine.
Well, I don't leave floaties like my grandkids, so we're good.
Oh my gosh. That accelerated rapidly.
There you go.
All right. So it's Friday, right? It's Friday evening. It's a wonderful night. And that's our intro. These are the jokes, I guess. But it's February 7th, 1 week until Valentine's Day. So if you have a sweetheart in your life and you think Valentine's Day is anything more than a made-up holiday for, I don't know, card makers like Hallmark and flower growers like anybody to make a lot of money, you might want to plan for next Friday. Are you going to be doing anything special on Valentine's Day?
Yes. In fact, we had talked about Mormonism After Dark next Friday. You lead right into it. Next Friday, I will be taking my girlfriend to a play. So I will be one of those people who's being taken advantage of by corporate America and Hallmark and dishing out money to take her to dinner and to a play.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, what's the play? Because the play's the thing.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up here because I still need to get tickets for it, which hopefully
there could be a problem. I hope it's not a popular play.
A week away from
if this isn't a crappy play, you're not going to be able to get tickets. If this play is even marginal, it's going to be sold out at this point.
There's actually several plays going on in Southern Utah.
Wow, in Southern Utah.
There is events Southern Utah. I'm just trying to find the
who knew
website.
You're already casting about for alternate plans in case this one's sold out.
I am. I've already blown it. But have you been to Tuacahn? Have you seen?
Wait a second. Did you look it up? Is it sold out?
I'm looking right now.
Tell us.
You're gonna screw us over here, right on live television. I'm gonna find out for sure. Let's see here.
Your girlfriend's name again? What is it?
It is Teresa.
Teresa.
Yes.
I hope she's not watching.
Well, she might be. She'll learn firsthand my plans too. Let's see here. I talked about just the other day. I said I still gotta get tickets for that.
Okay, so she already knew.
She knew.
You didn't have tickets.
Yeah.
What's the other day? Is that yesterday? Is it the day before? Is it last week?
What are you talking about?
When you say the other day, you told her.
Oh, it was like 2 days ago. I said I still need to get tickets for this.
Okay, 2 days ago.
So
I'm glad I reminded you.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, I'd have gotten to like the 13th, and I've been like, "Hey, tomorrow night."
I could be the savior of your relationship.
Yeah, and I'll give you all the credit on next week's Mormonism After Dark, which we'll be doing on Saturday. Which was the whole reason we started on down this path. Was
that's exactly right.
Friday, we had talked about doing Mormonism After Dark. It's Valentine's Day. I said I really would like to take my girlfriend out. It is sort of Valentine's Day, and so we decided we would do Mormonism After Dark the following night, Saturday night, and people could call in with their horror stories, whatever happened to them, good or bad.
Their what stories?
Their horror stories. If something went bad sometime in their life on a Valentine's Day, or to share
like a horror story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that's a different kind of Valentine's Day. But to be able to also come in and go like, "Hey, last night was incredible. Here's what we did." It'd be fun to have some Valentine stories, and we had talked about that. So next week, Mormonism After Dark, 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
On Saturday, that's the deal.
Saturday.
On the 15th.
Yep, instead of Friday. And we'll talk about Valentine's Day and give you a chance to call in, at least for part of the show, about any significant Valentine's Day stories you'd like to share.
Yes, and we'll talk about horror stories too.
Yeah. Now I'm supposed to be telling you about these plays. So on the 14th, there is from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. There's a My Funny Valentine 2025.
Boring.
There's a dance called the Sweetheart Swing. There's the Anything Goes musical comedy. There's a Wait Until Dark play, and there's
go to Anything Goes.
And then there's a My Broadway Valentine.
No, go to Anything Goes.
Anything Goes musical comedy. That's actually
order. It's a classic. I was in it back in 1983. Not the original, thank you, but 1983 college production. I got to fulfill one of my dreams in life, which was to be able to tap dance in a sailor outfit.
Excellent. Well, I am tickets
on
on sale.
Sailors, but
so I'm just going into tickets right now to see if I've screwed up or if I've done okay. And we're
music and lyrics by Cole Porter.
February 14th.
In olden days, a glimpse of stocking.
I'm gonna have to find a backup plan.
What is it, sold out?
Sold out. These tickets are not available.
See, it's a good show. That's what I'm telling you.
I blew it. That's the kind of that happens to me sometimes. My one track mind gets off track and then I never get back. And then the tickets didn't get bought.
You know what I find helps?
What's that? Apologies and
Nope.
and candy and flowers.
Post-its.
Post-its. Yeah.
Post-its. So I
do
write
that a lot.
something down so I don't forget it. And then I throw it right there and it's staring me in the face.
Until you get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to start doing something like I do that sometimes, but sometimes I
bet there's a crappy show you can still get tickets to.
I bet there is. I'll keep looking
Okay.
through the night and see if I can't figure it out. I'm sure folks in the comments are being very gentle with me.
You'll be looking all through the night. Sorry, I'm a little bit hoarse. It's from the show. I delight in your love. It's not one of the best songs. Not that I did it justice.
I think you did great.
Hopefully RFM sailor outfit had long pants. Yes, they had long pants. Thank you very much. Went all the way down to my ankles. Oh, wait. Oh, no. I think someone's kidding. Leo 6 was saying, I've got 2 tickets, $250 a piece.
He's
I
got
think he's
tickets, $250 a piece. I don't think either me or my girlfriend would justify that expense. So
I think we're heading toward a very memorable first Valentine's Day for you and your girlfriend.
it's going to be great. We'll end up at Applebee's and take a walk in the park or something. You know what I mean? Oh boy, look at that! I sent RFM spiraling. Well, folks, it is another episode of Mormonism After Dark. It is February 7th, 2025. You were reading some books last week, RFM.
Cody McGoldface says you're the top.
I'm the top. Yeah, that's
Thank you.
Not for long.
You're the Tower of Pisa.
Yeah, leading fast.
There's a lot of things that you're the top. Anyway, it's a great song. It's another song from Anything Goes.
Hey, why don't you sing the whole thing? We'll just.
I practically could. Obviously, not you're the top. But when you're actually in the show, I had the record, which has a recording. It's one that's I think readily available, or at least it was when I was in high school, of the show, and it actually had Hal Linden playing the male lead. And Hal Linden at the time was famous as his role in Barney Miller, right? He played Barney Miller as a New York City police captain.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, and I didn't know he could sing, and he sings really good, and he sang that song a lot better. All through the night, I delight in your love. And if you're in it and you hear it every night, right? You're either in the song or you're off stage listening to the song, and you learn them pretty well. Excellent. Even if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think that practicing things over and over and being in something everybody else is doing, even if it's not the song you're participating in, you would think that all that practice, hearing it again and again, that you would remember it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, great.
You're the Mona Lisa. You're this. No, wait a second. You're the Nile. You're the Tower of Pisa. You're the smile on the Mona Lisa. That's how that one line goes. And there's a whole lot of them.
Excellent. Did you get very far into the book that you started last week?
Excuse me. I have just started it, but it's wonderful. It's fantastic. Before I even get to that, can I talk to you a little bit about the show that I did, the Radio Free Mormon show I did that went up last Saturday?
Please.
The one about Jen Camp.
Yeah.
And John DeLynn called Epilogue. There was a very little left to say, okay, about what had happened with their case in bankruptcy court, Jen Camp's case in bankruptcy court, and what happened with John DeLynn getting his claim liquidated and made into a number value and put into the bankruptcy repayment plan that Jen Camp has to follow for 3 years. Okay, so having said all of that, it's hardly even worth doing a podcast over, right? The end is so meh. But then I thought, this has been going on for over 2 years now. And, I've been doing this. And even I, who's been doing this and doing all these podcasts, 10, 12, 15, I'm not sure how many there are. There's a lot about this whole situation and all the different angles it's gone off in and the weird things that have happened that Jen's done, frankly. That my listeners, I was thinking, well, if I can't remember all of this, how could they remember it all? Let me just put it all together in one podcast and we'll do a trip down memory lane, and we'll hit the high points and the low points and the funny points and the, I can't believe she did that points. And then we'll get to the end. And that's what we did. And the reason I'm bringing this up is for a couple of reasons. One is it's doing really well. And I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's up to 21,000 views on YouTube right now, which is big for me. So thank you very much. So there's a lot of interest. Also finding out finally what happened. You know, there's a finality, maybe some closure, hopefully, for people who have cared at all about the situation or care about Jen Camp or care about John Dehlin or care about me or care about the Bar Association's Office of Discipline and all the bar complaints they've been getting from Jen Camp and her friends. But the reason I bring this up is because I wanted everybody to know one thing, and that is that in retrospect, they didn't say this in the show, so this is the first time you're hearing it, is that in retrospect, I came out, I can see that other people would see me as coming out very quickly on John Dehlin's side and very decidedly on John Dehlin's side in this whole matter once it started being publicized, which was caused by Jen Camp going public. And it's only now that I'm realizing people would see that and not realize why it was that I came out so decidedly on John Dehlin's side of the whole altercation. And that people might think the only reason I did it is because he's my friend, so I'm going to take his part, right? Well, I might be there to support a friend, but I'm not going to take their part publicly just based on what they say. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's the way I operate. I had a similar conversation with McKenna Denson a number of years ago and see how that turned out. Okay. But the conversation is this. All right. I was not taking John Dehlin's word for it. Did I believe him? Well, yeah, but you know, we all see things certain ways. And the reason why is because I'd already seen the evidence. By the time I made a public statement, I had already seen the video of the conversation of the one-on-one meeting on the afternoon of Thursday, August 25th, 2022, when John Dehlin had Jen Camp come down to the office for that meeting. I had already seen that. And based on that alone, I was floored. Because I've got to tell you, one of the things that was so shocking about it wasn't just that I couldn't tell who the boss was here, because it looked like Jen Camp was the one giving the orders and expecting John Dehlin to follow them. And when he wasn't just saying, I'll do that, then she got even madder and circled back to another attack on the same issue to try and get him to do what he wanted. It wasn't just that. It was that I had met Jen Camp a couple of times before this down at the studio when I was down there to record something. We didn't spend a lot of time together. I'd also seen her, of course, on the Mormon Stories episodes that she appeared on. And this sweet, demure, almost can't not cry person, to see that person acting the way that I'm seeing Jen Camp act in this video, that was also mind-blowing. And I thought, wow, I guess she's not exactly the way she appears or has appeared to me. So anyway, that was the thing. I had seen that. I had also seen the board meeting video, and I'd seen the board meeting video a long time, I think, before I put it up. All right. And once you see the first video and you see that second board meeting video, boom, you know what's going on. And you know what kind of game Jen Camp is playing. So that's why I was able in my own mind, and that's why I came forward so decidedly on John Dehlin's side. And even in a post on Reddit where it came up, I made reference to the fact that I said, I don't expect anybody to take my word for it, but I've seen the evidence. I've seen the evidence. I didn't say what the evidence was, but I said, I've seen the evidence, and eventually you'll get to see the evidence too. And that was true for almost everything except for that first video. But once you see the evidence, you'll understand why it is that I'm taking this position. And I think that's proven to be correct.
It's such a strange thing, RFM. The idea that we wouldn't criticize anybody who's sort of promoting the critical position. And, we've done things over the years where we've agreed with the apologist. The tar and feathering of Joseph Smith is always the one that sticks out in my head. When McKenna Denson went too far and it just became obvious, who were the first folks? It was you and I who you had been spending all that time interviewing her. And you had some investment sort of in letting her tell her story. It would have been normal for you to feel some sort of allegiance and to let that go further than it should have. And it didn't. We were the first ones who said, "No, that's enough's enough." That lady on this side of things said that lady's out there and she's grifting people, and it doesn't appear to be on the up and up. And you and I were the first ones to speak to that. And I'll just know.
I felt because of the podcast that she'd been on with me and that I talked about, that it was very important for us to be the first or among the first.
Yeah.
To talk about this. And
that's
ultimately, I think the conclusion was that something happened.
Yeah.
Because she knew about the room in the basement.
Yeah.
The Alamo.
Yeah.
No, the MTC.
But she was no longer credible. Right. But she was no longer credible.
Right. Because we all know why, right? So we had to bring it up.
Yeah.
And that's what I always try and do. I always want to try and be as honest and as transparent as I know how to be.
Yeah.
As I can be with the audience. So everything I tell, I may not tell you everything I know, okay? But everything I tell you will be true. Insofar as I am able to ascertain the truth.
Yeah. And if John Dehlin or Nemo for that matter, or Lindsay Hansen Park, if any of those folks got in serious trouble with something and it was worthy of news, it was worthy of examining it, it was worthy of putting an opinion out there about what the process is looking like and what the data says and where the evidence leads, I can't imagine any other world than us that we'd be covering those things too.
Very good. I will not go into specifics, okay? But you and I both know that there have been times when you or I or you and I have gone forward with an episode and a story in spite of pressure to not do so.
Yeah, that has happened a few times.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, we talk to each other and we disagree about things. There's a process there where we sort of get to let the other person know they need to do something a little different, or wish that they would sort of change something. And I think we're both very reasonable people who want to follow where the data goes one way or the other. And we don't agree all the time, but I think you'd be hard pressed to find a moment where not only were we wrong, there's times where we're wrong. We think we know something and then we're corrected. And
yes,
but you'd be hard pressed to find a moment where we're saying something that we believe something other. I don't think it's out there. Like the one guy, James, who made the big deal on Mormonism Live, saying that there were all these instances, and he calls the show and go with your best one, and his best one is that.
Oh wait! Can you refresh the audience's recollection?
Yeah, so
I was having trouble remembering who you were talking. It's been at least a year.
It has. Mormonism Live, when we took the live callers at the end of the show, it was like 3 times in like a 3-month period where a guy named James calls and he's making accusations. And so finally, the third time he calls, he goes, because Bill's challenged me. Bill said, find an instance of me lying. Me, Bill Real. And James calls up and he goes, I've got you. And I said, okay, that's great. Share your best one. Here it is. We're putting you on.
I've got 10 of them.
The entire audience.
Don't give me 10. Just give me your best one. I remember that part.
And his best one was that in one instance, I said I was burned out. And in another instance, I said I had stopped podcasting, but then I wasn't burned out. I don't know. It was some story about my motivations for when I sort of got burned out for a moment. Sort of right before we did Mormonism Live, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And
I'm going to snap you out of it.
Yeah. And I don't know what he's pointing at, but in my mind, but in my mind, maybe he catches me at 2 different moments where before Mormonism Live and after, but if that's the best example he has, it was really it's just a non sequitur. It was just,
I know. And it says, oh, well, here's number 2. And you go, no, you had your chance with number 1.
Yeah, goodbye, click. You had your best chance.
Number 2, look, if number 1 doesn't impress me, don't worry about number 2.
James probably spent James had to have spent weeks going through old episodes, asking Kwaku and Jacob Hansen, trying to get the best stuff, and he didn't have it. So anyway, back to you in terms of Gen Camp, that episode, it's doing really great. What did you say it was up to? 21,000 views, which is good for us.
Live chat over here.
Yeah. And I was telling you, it brought in 72 new subscribers. So that is rare. That's a rare thing to see that many new subscribers to an episode. So I think folks out there in YouTube land were very interested in that story, in John Dehlin and what was happening. And I think John comes out smelling like a rose, and everything he said about what that case is and was going to be, it turned out to be true. And everybody along the way, including Jen's lawyers, the judge, and anybody watching, seemed to just know that at every turn she was wrong.
And wrong is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Gore says, one of my favorite, can you read this? Because it's about me and,
Sure, I'll be happy to. One of my favorite RFM moments was, I believe, in a Jim Camp video, which was when RFM got a delightful smile on his face and he quoted the Judge Judy meme, bailiff, whack his pee-pee. Oh boy. Yep. Jen lost.
I wish her the best.
Yeah.
In what remains of her self-sabotaged life.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to just know that this isn't going to go. She had so many opportunities to realize it wasn't going to go the way she thought. So there's that.
Hey, Trevor Larson is saying, I think he's trying to say, here's the lie. This is what he said the lie was. The Bill shared a caller's number with RFM? Or is it that Bill?
What is he talking about?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Maybe Trevor can call in and explain.
There has been, yes, there was the instance where.
Oh, is that what it was?
There was the one where you did get something wrong and you did an episode where what's that? Where you did an episode where you shared that you had hurt somebody's feelings or something.
Oh yeah, I forget his name now, and I'm sorry, but no, I didn't get something wrong. I just eviscerated him when he wouldn't answer my question directly.
That's it. But yeah, that's it. But what happened was I gave you his number after the show. But
yeah,
I would think you have as much right to a number of somebody calling to our show as I do. So I don't see, if that's what he's talking about, I don't see how that would break it. But anyway, regardless,
you never said that you didn't.
I've accidentally put the call-in studio up on the screen before, and people's numbers have been seen. That has happened, I think, once, maybe twice. And so we've taken precautions to make sure that a different process happens so that doesn't happen again. But
so Trevor's clarifying it was a hilarious stretch, that alleged lie by James to you, which I think Trevor's recalling and reiterating.
Right. That was one of the lies that he claimed he had. Again, it is ridiculous. We can point out so many things the church has done that's been dishonest. We can point out things that Kwaku and Cardinellis and those guys do that's deceptive or not exactly honest. And I'll just say that I've been doing this since 2012. If there's 3 lies made by me, then they should exist. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out where they're at. And I'd say good luck finding them.
See, Wendy remembers it was Justin. Yeah, I called him to apologize. Exactly. And then I invited him on the show.
Yeah.
So I could apologize publicly. But he says, nah, that's okay. And then I said, is it okay if I share this conversation, what we talked about? He says, yeah, sure. So I did.
And there's this
under why is RFM such an SOB, right?
Yes, that was the episode. And then there's this one, Bill once turned me into a newt. So I did that once, black magic and stuff.
I got better.
Yeah. It would say something if somebody's not lying, 12 years, don't have it, and they're claiming that this entity is dishonest and they've got hundreds of examples. I mean, I guess you get a choice on which one you want to believe.
Yes. And I did want to say something. Someone was saying something about it. We're going to talk about UFOs tonight.
Huh.
Hello, boys. I'm back. Now, are we talking UFOs tonight? I'm late to the party, so I hope I didn't miss it. Well, it wasn't necessarily on the menu, but we did talk about them at some length last Wednesday. Had you said everything you wanted to say about that particular subject, Bill? About how much you're a Confederate liar?
Yeah. Let's move on. They don't exist.
Then, yeah. So here's what I'm thinking about that. it was kind of a mixed bag. And I thought it was interesting, and it was great to see Carrie again. Carrie Schertz, the backyard professor. It's been a while since we've been, on the same show together. I think the last time we were talking about Elder Bednar and dissecting a talk that Elder Bednar had given. And that was a lot of fun. But since then, now he's given over his podcasting time, at least most of it that I can see, to talking about the UFO phenomenon and what's going on now. Because there's a lot of stuff going on now. And even if it's just drones, it seems like almost anything in the sky can be converted by enough enthusiasm into something related to the UFO phenomenon, even drones, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they're shape-shifting into, UFOs, or UFOs are shape-shifting into drones. Hi, everybody. I guess I'm getting the limelight now. So anyway, there were some people who were asking the question. Let me back up a second. Let's talk about Sandra Tanner for a second, okay? Sandra Tanner is a wonderful, wonderful person, a dear friend, sweet lady. Christian as Christian could be in the best possible sense of the word. But she sometimes makes people scratch their heads because she uses such good critical thinking skills when it comes to Mormonism, which is why she left. But there's a lot of people who think that if she used those same critical thinking skills to Christianity, her version that she's very faithful in and believes very much, that if she used those same thinking skills there, well, she wouldn't be a Christian either. Because the one set of tools that dismantles Mormonism, at least from this point of view, can also dismantle Christianity. And it's like, why aren't you using them at all? It's like, what's going on? Okay. Now, having described that issue with Sandra Tanner that other people see in her, some people are asking if the same thing's going on with Carrie Schertz. Is he being Sandra Tannered, or is he Sandra Tannering it? Because some people are wondering, and I've talked to them. It seems to them the same thing, that the critical thinking skills that Carrie Schertz used in order to get himself out of Mormonism, it doesn't seem like he's using those same critical thinking skills in his exploration of the UFO phenomenon. So I bring that up. If anybody wants to talk about it, that's fine. But also, as part of that, I think that I ended up asking him some questions. I did not know what I was going to be asking him during the episode. I've done some extensive research into the subject, though it's been a while since I did that, and I was into the whole UFO thing. But so I was able to follow him pretty well, understand what he's talking about, and I had a lot of questions for him. And what I want to do, what I'm thinking about doing, is taking some of those snippets that ended up being 3 hours long, and taking it and combining it down into a much smaller version with some commentary, maybe me and Colby, because I think it really addresses the main issue about UFO phenomenon writ large. So, having said all of that, I said all the things I wanted to say. I asked all the questions I wanted to ask. And I think that when I reviewed the live chat, people were asking questions about what I was asking, because I was pointing out similarities between Mormonism and Mormon history and the UFO. Let's just call it ufology, okay? Mm-hmm. And ufology. And point after point after point, there were similarities. And people were in the live chat, some people were asking, this doesn't make any sense. Is RFM trying to say that Mormonism that was made up by Joseph Smith somehow proves ufology true, right? Because I could see that's what they might think, because I'm pointing out the similarities. And actually, what I was doing was something a little different. What I was trying to do was I was trying to show Carrie subtly, gently, not forcefully, and hopefully not rudely, that there are all these similarities between Mormonism, which he has now used his critical thinking skills on and rejected, and the ufology belief that he appears to be adopting or has adopted. So that was the whole point of that. And I wasn't there to try and change his mind at all. Good heavens, no, that's not It's not my job. He's obviously having a great time, and who does it hurt, really? So I think that's wonderful. But what I wanted to do was try and create a little bit of a record there and show as best I could, and I think I did a good job of showing at heart how the ufology belief is in, I think, almost every material respect, similar to being a religious belief.
Yeah, you and I were talking a little bit about that before the show started, and the idea of being an insider, being special, um, believing in aliens has a sort of magic to it that Mormonism sort of has, right? If um, if if you believe in aliens, you do get some snark back at you, some people being sort of uh, making fun of you, right? If you believe in Mormonism, you get a little bit of that. I was telling you before the show started that high demand fundamentalist religions often create processes by which their followers, especially when they're young, can be rejected by society at large.
Yes.
And believing in aliens or believing in Mormonism will get you the same sort of like, you're a little weird. It does that to us. So, and that's as one who sort of believes in aliens. I recognize that. But yeah, it was an interesting show. And, but yes, I think people come down on various sides and people weigh evidence differently. And what people judge as evidence, taking the expert just for the sake of an expert wrote something. And you and I both know that's a fallacy, that someone's title or education doesn't have anything to do with the merit of what they're saying. If what they're saying can be examined and shown to be either true or false, it should be weighed solely on the merit of what it is.
Yes, absolutely. So the reason I'm excited about it is because it became more than just a discussion with Kerry about his channel, but it ended up not only talking about these interesting connections in Mormonism, which is just fun, I think. Hey, Dan, and the whole thing, the other thing I'm thinking when I'm drawing all these parallels between Mormonism and the UFO stuff is not just this subtle message to Kerry, maybe, or anybody else who may be a post-Mormon who believes in UFOs, I don't know, or anything else for that matter. But it was also to show, once again, that even a string of parallels that are kind of surprising and make you go, wow, don't mean anything. There is no parallel. Okay, there are parallels. There is no meaning behind any parallel between Mormon history and the UFO phenomenon. None. Okay. People may believe it. I don't know. After that show, they may go away saying, wow, Moroni he really was an alien coming down from a ship in a teleporter beam. But that wasn't the intent. The intent was to show these parallels have no meaning whatsoever. And you can take things completely unrelated as Mormon history and ufology, and you can find parallels.
Yeah. And the fun we were trying to have with Wednesday's episode was to sort of go through the history of things that have been posited before in connection with aliens and Mormonism. Give Kerry a chance to talk about the success of his channel as he's been delving into that topic. To show the video, because I do think it's at least relative to the discussion of Mormonism and UFOs, is this UFO expert claiming that there are Mormon people of managerial positions within the church who are serving in this legacy group. It gave us a chance to have a conversation around that. And then you had the SpaceX viewing that looks like a meteor that in the moment of talking about UAPs or UFOs, we get a chance within 48 hours of it happening of putting something up there and to have a conversation about how things look and what they can be interpreted as. And once you know what it actually is, it explains everything. Oh, I can't hear you, Arvin.
Right, exactly. And of course, what we already believe tends to color how it is that we're going to see that particular video and how we're going to interpret it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of SpaceX. I thought it was a meteor. I could see how someone who is really swimming deep in aliens could look at that and see a UFO. And with a little more information, it's one of Elon Musk's rockets. Yeah.
Yes. They're so deep in aliens. They're like Marion. Is it Ravencroft? Marion Ravencroft in the Raiders movie when she's down in the tomb and all those skeletons are all around her. Remember her?
I don't remember.
That's how deep they are in aliens. It's like the aliens are the skeletons. They see them everywhere.
Dan's saying the History Channel did a show on how Joseph might have seen aliens.
Well, then it must be true.
We mentioned that ancient and that is part of Wednesday's show. So go back and watch that, and you'll see that we do actually mention that moment.
Has there ever been a channel more misnamed than the History Channel?
Yeah, there's not really a lot of good history there, is there?
I don't know. There might be. There might be some other channel out there.
Tim Rathbone is in the call queue, and he wants to mention UFOs and remote viewing. Now, you wore your special underwear tonight, correct?
I wore some underwear. Okay,
You
hang
wore
on a
some
second.
underwear.
I forgot. I didn't take a picture.
All right.
Okay, excuse me, everybody. Just hang on a second here.
Yeah. Step out. Don't get completely out of the camera view.
I'm going to be right here, okay?
Taking a look at his underwear, and we're going to give Tim a choice. Tim, you're listening probably right now. You're going to get a chance to remote view what the color. And I also want to know boxers or briefs.
And don't make me prove it.
Don't make him prove it. RFM's a man of integrity.
You must take my word.
You can take what he says.
Actually, don't say anything yet, Tim.
Yeah, hold on.
I've got a solution. I hate it when people have to take my word.
Hold on, Tim. He's going to write it down. He's going to write
quit looking at my underwear. Don't look at my underwear yet.
Tim, hold on. Don't remote view it yet.
No remote viewing on the undies. Okay, now here's the thing. Right. If I had thought of this morning, if I'd remembered this, I should have written it on a Post-it. Right? Tim's going to look at my undies. I would have worn single colored, and I apologize. In one way, this may make it more difficult for you. In another way, it may make it easier because there's actually two colors involved. All right, and it's a pattern. I'm going to tell you it's a pattern.
You're getting a lot of tips, Tim. If you don't remote view this correctly, then I can't. Now remember, only go to the only go to the layer of the underwear. If you go one fabric thickness too far, you might remote view more than you wanted to.
If you go one too far, we'll know it because you're going to swoon, baby. You're going to swoon. Okay, so I've got it here. I've written it on the pad of paper here. This piece right there on the front. Okay. Oh, you're looking already, are you? Okay. Now I've got it right here. So I will turn this around. Okay. I'm going to hold it right here so everybody can know that I'm turning around the same piece of paper. Okay. I'm not going to pick up a different piece of paper on the desk. All right. Now, do you need to do anything special to get ready to remote view my underwear?
I need a target number.
Target number. All right. Well, go.
What if I didn't get these at Target? These are the jokes.
I haven't.
What do you mean the target number?
What does that mean, Tim? What is the target number?
They give out it's a mix of numbers and letters, like BK62Y.
Okay, use those.
Well,
B26KY or whatever it was. B26KY. Okay, go ahead now.
Was green and red.
Green and red.
Green and red. Okay. Well, here is what it is this.
It's dark. I know that much.
Oh, black and red, orange. Dark green is sort of in the neighborhood of black, and orangish red is a shade of red. Boxers
it's really interesting because you notice he didn't say dark green.
Yeah, boxers are briefs. Briefs.
Yeah.
Boxers are briefs, RFM.
Oh, they're kind of in between. They're these spandex things.
Yeah.
You know, in case I need to go web swinging after some crooks.
Let's kind of give him that one. Let's see if he can guess my underwear.
It's as good as anything Joseph Smith got in the Book of Abraham.
What color of underwear am I wearing, Tim? Let's give you a second chance.
I don't know. They're white.
They're white. They're not white. I haven't worn white underwear since I had a temple recommend.
That's okay. You don't have to get it
Oh,
right
boy.
because it's white with yellow stains. See, the
Oh.
funniness is in the answer, not the accuracy.
Actually, I was tricking Tim. I'm not wearing underwear.
Aha. Very
You're
good.
not?
Very
No,
good.
I actually do, but they're not white. So Tim,
Well, I hope so.
Tim was 27% correct.
I mean, it's total commando thing. It's all fun and games until you zip up.
Ooh, that hurts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim, anything else you want to say? I don't want to spend too much time on, no offense, remote viewing and UFOs, but I definitely want to give you a chance to say something else.
We
What
were
else?
going to say something about his remote viewing experience.
We can talk about it at Thrive. How about that?
Thrive in St. George? Thrive in Las
I'm
Vegas?
planning on coming to Thrive
Which
in
one?
St. George. I'm planning on coming to the Thrive in St.
Would
George.
you stop it? Who put that up there? Jeez.
What
Wendy.
was that?
Nothing.
Okay.
I got rid of it.
All right. Well, I did talk to Wayne Hepworth. I may make an appearance. Last I heard was he was going to try to get me a ticket, so we'll see if that happens. They're sold
It's
out.
sold out.
Yeah, no, they're sold out. But he's, I live down here, and he reached out to me, so I think it's sort of an exception to the rule. So we'll see if it happens.
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
it's not who you are. It's it's not what you do. It's who you know, right?
Unless you're
Exactly.
then it's who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to say, Tim? Otherwise, we'll let you go. Appreciate the underwear guess. It was close. Dark green and red is close to black and reddish orange.
It
Very
is.
good.
There you go.
That's okay, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
You have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. I
Bye.
hope so. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you did start a book, correct? It was a Stephen King book.
Oh, reading a book, right. Does
Yeah.
this mean there's nobody in the call bank right now?
No. I've got Sarah, and she's calling about the books to read when you're deconstructing. So I was going to segue by giving you a chance to talk about your book for a second, and then I'll give her a chance to ask her a question about a different set of books.
Okay. Well, I tell you what,
Let's let her start if you're okay.
I'd be happy to, because I always want to move the callers up to the
Let's do
front.
that.
They got to wait till the end of the show on
We'll
Wednesday.
use her as a segue to you. Okay, Sarah, you're on Mormonism After Dark, and you want to ask a question about books to read when you're deconstructing?
Yes, I did. I
Yeah.
wanted to.
Please.
But the conversation went such a completely different direction. I don't know. I
that's
don't
what
want to
happens
ruin
here.
your. I don't want to ruin your vibe.
No.
But
Please ask, though. Please ask the question.
okay, all right.
This house has many vibes.
I was at lunch with some friends, and we were exchanging some books that we each wanted to read, and one of them was "No Man Knows My History," right? So
Yes.
we knew what we were talking about, what we were doing, but there was a kid who was there who was waiting on us, and he said his mother was worked at the church office building or something. She's a true believer, but he wasn't. And he wanted to know, if you really want to start out looking and questioning, which book should you read? And I said, I thought it was Fawn Brody, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of thought that's where the Tanners got started with her research, but maybe there's something else that came before that.
Sarah,
I was just curious
Yeah, great question.
what
Sarah?
you guys would think.
I can answer your question. You ready? You got
Yeah.
a pen and paper? I know the answer. I know this one. It's the church
Okay.
essays
Yeah.
on the church's website.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Yes.
gospel topic
Oh.
essays on the church's website. Anybody who's been in Mormonism long enough and taken it seriously enough will quickly realize that's not the Mormonism that they were taught, and that the things being acknowledged in those essays were the things that were denied for 170 years.
Yeah.
Who wrote the gospel topic essays?
They're
The
published
church
by the
did.
church.
The church sanctioned them. These are sanctioned by that's why it's on the official church website.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any difference who
So it's
wrote
like
them.
a
They were
committee?
written by committees, and
Like
it's
committee
not.
wrote it?
They're not signed.
But they're on the church's site, and the
And
church.
we don't know who.
That's the official stance of the church on those issues.
We know a little, but
Huh.
only because.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll throw out.
Well, then I guess
I'll throw out one that I think is fun, along with what you've mentioned so far. D. Michael Quinn's Early Mormonism and the World Magic View. I think that's close to the title. D. Michael Quinn's book. Read the footnotes, though. Don't just read the book. Read the footnotes. Read the notes at the end of the book. What you'll learn about Joseph Smith and his sort of preparation for being a prophet, and then his time early on in the church with folk magic and stuff. I think it's mind blowing. I think it's one of those top 5. If you say the top 5 books people need to read to understand Mormonism very well, D. Michael Quinn's Mormonism and the Early Mormonism and the World Magic View, I think is
Dan Vogel coming to your rescue.
there we go. Thank
is
you.
that the name of it?
Early Mormonism
Is
and the
that the
Magic.
name of the book?
Yeah, Early Mormonism and the Magic Worldview. That's the name of it. Dan Vogel's correcting it.
Then what about Grant Palmer's book?
I would save that for way later. That feels to me like another. They have to sort of open up. I feel like Grant leaves a little room with like the magic pot and some other things that a believer is going to find a way to dismiss that little easily. Whereas D. Michael Quinn is just sharing the history and he's referencing everything. He's footnoting it, and you can go to sources and you can see the things, and it's really hard to dispute.
So is that what led you guys away? Was reading those things, or was it other things?
It was
No, but you don't have 40 years to deconstruct like I
right.
do.
You don't. You're trying to knock this out in a book or two.
You're going to have to short circuit the process.
I've done my knocking out. It was this poor
Yeah,
kid.
I mean,
He's
for
trying to
him.
figure it out.
Yeah,
But
Maybe he does have 40 years.
all right. Well, I think you're probably right.
The thing about the church essays,
Okay.
the thing about the church essays, Sarah,
Mhm.
is that you don't have to get over the problem of, well, this isn't sanctioned or authorized by the church. It becomes a non-issue
Because it is.
because it's on the church's website. It is sanctioned and authorized by the church.
And
Right.
have people read the footnotes there too. Don't stop at just a gospel topic essay. Read the footnotes, chase those sources down. Then they can start reading a bunch of books and it'll lead them down the rabbit hole.
Especially the last footnote in the Book of Abraham essay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Is that 34?
24. I think 24.
24?
I think so.
You want to bet?
Sure. Book of Mormon,
You win.
Book of Abraham, gospel topic essay.
How much are we betting? We need to
All
make
right.
it interesting.
One more question.
Please ask it.
One more question.
Yes.
Is there anything in print about the DNA, the lack of DNA evidence?
Yes, it's in an essay. They got a whole essay devoted to it.
Oh, in the gospel essay?
Yes,
thing?
it's your answer to
Oh,
everything. And in it, they give the best spin the church can pay people to give on this issue. And all it is no, there isn't any, but here's all the reasons why it could be that there's no evidence to support our claims.
Number 46. We were both wrong.
Okay, then I don't owe you any money.
No, and I don't know you either.
I feel like I was closer than you. If this were the Price is Right, I would win, wouldn't I?
You would.
Yeah.
A lot better than Plinko.
Okay.
Sarah, thank you for calling.
Yeah,
Good luck to you.
I think the DNA evidence is huge, so I'm going to stick with that. But
It's a good one.
thank you. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
It's a good one. Have a great day.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye. All right.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah. So talking about books, RFM, you mentioned last week that you were reading a Shakespeare book to start off a bunch of books that you had bought, and I think you had not Shakespeare, a Stephen King book that you had put up on the screen first, held up for the camera to see. Did you get a chance to start that book?
I talked about Stephen King, but I think the one you're talking about is John Steinbeck.
Oh, okay.
Remember, because then you referenced the podcast and everything.
Yep.
Yes, I did. So this, I finished reading Cannery Row, which is the prequel. This is the sequel, is better put. To Sweet Thursday, which I got. Didn't know there was a sequel. Delighted to find it out because I love Cannery Row. I reread it. So I read it 10 years ago, reread it again, so I could refresh my mind on what the heck was going on and who the characters were. So I would be able to appreciate this better when I got to it. And it certainly Cannery Row is worth rereading on its own. So there's a number of things that I had marked in here. Here's what I want to read to you, okay? Excuse me. There's too many things marked in here. Look at this.
Like your
backyard professor.
Yeah, it's like your scriptures almost.
Okay. Well, one of the interesting things that happens is that the original book, Cannery Row, takes place in the 1930s before World War II. And it talks about all these people. It's a very small community. Cannery Row, because it's a cannery, it's on the Pacific Ocean. It's around Monterey in California. Having said all that, this sequel takes place after World War II. So things have changed some, and that's what the first chapter deals with. And one of the main things that's changed is that one of the main characters in the first book, a very appealing character, was this owner of the local general store. And he was a Chinese American named Lee Chong. And he was fun. There were things he did that were funny. He was wise. He was sagacious. He's a good business person. But he's not there anymore. He's just not there. So now they're talking about him. Two of the characters who are still there, two of the main characters from the first book, are talking about him in retrospect, as if it were a funeral, but he's not dead. Okay. He just left to go pursue his dreams. And here's what it says. This is between Doc and Mac. Doc opened with considerable bravery. What do you think of the new owner over at the grocery? Because there's a new owner at the grocery. Oh, he's all right, said Mac. Kind of interesting. The only trouble is he can't never take Lee Chong's place. Remember, Lee Chong was the guy who's gone. There was never a friend like Lee Chong, Mac said brokenly. Yes, he was wise and good, said Doc. And tricky, said Mac. He means a good thing by that. And smart, said Doc. He took care of a lot of people, said Mac. And he took a few, said Doc. Now here's the paragraph. They volleyed Lee Chong back and forth, and their memories built virtues that would have surprised him. And cleverness and beauty too. While one told a fine tale of that mercantile Chinaman, the other waited impatiently to top the story. Out of their memories, there emerged a being scarcely human, a dragon of goodness and an angel of guile. Love the line, a dragon of goodness and an angel of guile. In such a way are the gods created.
A little yin and yang, a little good and evil, huh? Like we all have a good side to us and a bad side, and the bad side is sort of being praised and the good side being sort of tarnished, and it's a fabulous line.
Well, thank you. I think it's a great line. And the whole sentiment, of course, it's like at a funeral oration, right?
Yeah.
Good heavens.
We're all complex figures.
You know, if everybody was as good as the funeral orations made them out to be, this would be a much better world.
Yeah. And unfortunately, none of us are, right? We're all a mix of things. We have lots of parts with lots of motivations, doing lots of different things.
Oh, yeah. Like, who's my favorite poet? Walt Whitman, other than Shakespeare. Walt Whitman said, right? He said, along the lines of, I am the worst man I know, but thank God I am also the best.
Yeah. Excellent. How far into the book are you? I saw where you had it
Not
open.
that far, maybe 20 pages. It's less than 200 page book. It's got a lot of fun stuff in it. I just take it easy when I have a chance, when I'm not working on podcasts or listening to podcasts and reviewing live
80-page
chat and
documents.
Yeah.
Well, good. Okay, I think this person is calling in reference to Sarah's first question, perhaps. What's the
Okay.
name, caller?
Hi, my name is Melissa.
Melissa, what is, you're on Mormonism After Dark. What's your question?
My question is, RFM had mentioned it when he started talking about UFOs, about critical thinking, and we learned to be skeptical. And I guess my question is it possible to turn that off, or do we just question everything from here on out? Does that make sense? I find myself skeptical of everything. I find myself, I can think my way out of anything, out of believing in anything.
Well, it may be a good thing. I don't
really
know.
want to be an atheist, but I can sure see it. I can see it.
Can I
yeah,
ask you a few questions, Melissa?
sure.
Okay, first thing is this. Do you think that believing in something that is not true can ever be a good thing?
No, I don't. I just question, is it possible to go too far and just end up in complete nihilism? And I don't want to live that way either.
So you don't think, because I would think that maybe there might be some examples, but regardless, let's go from your perspective, that there is no situation in which believing something that's not true is a good thing. Okay. So having established that from that perspective,
Okay, maybe there is.
you see, I'm tainting the witness, but let's go from that perspective. All right. Let's just go from that perspective, because people can come to different conclusions on that. It's kind of a provocative question. However, if that's the case, then would it not be appropriate to use whatever tools are at your disposal to find out what is true from what is not?
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I try and do. And I find it's fascinating. It's not nihilist at all. It's an adventure. It's an exploration. It's the thrill of a lifetime to try and find out what the truth is, both objectively as well as subjectively. And they're two different things. Instead of having it dictated to me by other people.
So you just let your curiosity you just turn it loose and follow it where it leads, and you don't, I guess, sorry, this is still rather new for me. So
Sure.
I guess I'm just afraid of what happens if I stop believing in everything. And maybe that's really what the problem is. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, here's the thing. What I want you to believe in is whatever you want to believe in. But first and foremost, Melissa, I want you to believe in yourself.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's very difficult for us as Mormons, just as human beings maybe, but especially as Mormons, because we are trained and inculcated to never think for ourselves, to always let other people do the thinking for us. And our job is simply to believe what it is that they tell us is true. So even as a muscle that doesn't get worked for a lifetime gets atrophied, that muscle of trusting in ourselves is something that we have to work on. It's not natural. It can be scary as hell. I know. To trust
It's
yourself.
terrifying.
Yes. But ultimately, here's the thing. Here's the secret, Melissa. Ultimately, you are the only person you can trust.
That's true. That is true.
Everything else is an illusion.
I spent 50 years having somebody else tell me what I believed and the certainty in that, right? Which in some ways is really comfortable. And to rip that Band-Aid off, it's disconcerting. And I feel like I should be scrambling for some kind of certainty, at the same time realizing right now, so far it's been a great adventure. In just seeing what's out there and what's available. So there's beauty in that, but there's also this: what happens if I go too far? Is there an edge I fall off I can't come back from? So I think my thing is just fear. So I think you're right. I think it is trusting in myself and enjoying the ride.
Well, the whole thing is, this is what you've used to grapple onto reality, your worldview. It's reality. Your reality has been dictated to you, and to let go of that is to experience free fall. But you have to be willing to let go of it and actually fall in order to find yourself, and you will be caught. You will be caught, and you'll be lifted up far beyond where you were before. And the other secret is that you're the one who's going to catch yourself. It may seem like an outside force, but it will be you.
I love that. Thank you. That's really comforting, actually, and that lines up with the experience that I've been having. And thank you for confirming that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Please write it down, because I haven't read it, and it just came to me by the Holy Ghost. So it's scripture to you. It's like a patriarchal blessing.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait. RFM style patriarchal blessing. Go for it.
I guess you can actually just hit replay anytime you want. You don't have to write it down.
Yeah, you can just go back and watch the episode all over again.
That's perfect.
Well, thank you. What's the name, caller? What did you say the name was? Melissa.
My name is Melissa, and I'm excited to see you at Thrive in St. George also. So,
all right. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank you.
Bye.
I learned a long time ago, RFM, a phrase, trust but verify. Like, I don't think it does any good.
Jeez, where did you learn that from?
An ex-partner. So trust but verify, which is the idea that give people the benefit of the doubt. Don't start off thinking people are bullshitting unless the signs are clear, which is, again, you're verifying it by what's going on. But if someone presents something to you and you've got the opportunity to examine it, give them the benefit of the doubt, but also trust your gut and go to verify it. Like, don't take anyone else's word for it. Figure it out for yourself. And, she or you mentioned earlier in the call, a kind of a degree of curiosity. I think it is an enjoyable life to be a curious person and to continue examining things and figuring things out. And I think, to what you pointed to, let people trust themselves to have enough wherewithal to figure out what's true for them and what isn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's their life, for crying out loud.
By all means. Yeah.
I'm some guy trying to figure out my life. I've screwed up my life enough. I don't need to screw up other people's lives.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop me from trying.
So I've got another call I need to get to, and then we've got, looks like Gene Judson down below. The caller I've got here is Mark, and Mark says he was disappointed in Wednesday's show and wanted to express that. So,
okay, Mark,
you're on Mormonism After Dark. What would you like to say?
Hey, guys.
Mormonism Live Wednesday night.
Hey, guys.
How are you?
Look, before I get into this, I want to let you guys know that I'm a big fan. I'm not some guy who just listened to that episode and called in to bitch at you. I listen to basically everything you do.
You're a big fan calling in to bitch at us.
Huh?
It's okay. It's okay. We love you too. Now tell us why you thought Wednesday's show was crap.
Go ahead.
Tell us.
Yeah, he said you're a big fan and you're calling in to bitch at us.
We get it. It's all right. We can take it. Actually, we want it. We want to know what our viewers think.
Totally.
Well, but I'm going to hit you really hard.
Ooh.
And so I really want you guys to know that I love you. I mean, RFM, your Magic in the Book of Mormon and Apostolic Coup d'etat were key to me deconstructing the church. So I want to say to you that I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. I also want to say that, because I'm a fan, I'm incredibly nervous. And so I wrote.
You certainly built the hell up out of this. Sounds like you're going to be announcing that you just launched the nuclear weapons.
Well, like I said, it's kind of hard. So I wrote this down, and it's not going to take long, a minute or so.
Is it notarized?
It's not the aliens, guys. It does not matter if they exist or not. It's this new disease that's the problem, the disease of conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theories are now running the U.S. government. In other words, morons who think Noah, not the guy with a boat, is causing hurricanes, and others who think Jews have a space laser that controls the weather. They're flat earthers and people who denied the moon landing, and probably some people who think Big Bird shot Kennedy.
Yeah, and people who think that Joseph Smith didn't do polygamy.
Right, exactly.
They're crackers.
And it's led to this whole generation of people who think they're smarter than a physicist because they watched a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You guys usually shine a light an academic scientific light on your podcast. Your stuff is well researched, and it's not conspiracy theories. But that show was nothing more than mental masturbation that contributes to this ridiculous idea that the whole world is filled with conspiracy theories everywhere.
Well, I mean,
and the main problem at its root,
minus the shame, though. I mean, talking about aliens, I didn't feel the shame I felt with masturbation. So,
okay, that's a good line. The main problem at its roots is that conspiracy theories are anti-education. Universities are often targeted by conspiracy theories, and this is the problem with that episode. You essentially allowed someone to peddle conspiracy theories for 3 hours, and I'm really both saddened and kind of disappointed in you guys.
How successful do you think he was in his peddling?
Well, I'm sorry?
How successful did you think Kerry was in peddling his conspiracy theory, and how much do you think is attributable to the cross-examination of yours truly?
Well, okay. But, okay. Well, then, I want to go to the final thing I want to say, because I think it answers what you just asked.
Okay.
You and Colby Reddish have an almost bi-weekly show about Austin Fife on the Light and Truth Letter, and one of the things you guys regularly bitch slap Austin about is that he always says, "Hey, I'm just asking questions here." And isn't that what you just did with Backyard Professor? You allowed him for 3 hours to say, "Hey, I'm just asking questions here." And so, again, I'm sorry. I hate to do this to you guys, but I mean, I listened to the episode and I was like, I can't believe these people who I really looked up to, especially for, the measured, well-researched, well-educated, well-thought-out arguments that you give. And so I just don't understand how, it's not that he was talking about aliens, it's that you allowed somebody who talks conspiracy theories, and it's this conspiracy.
So it's not just
theory
the aliens; it's that the aliens are involved in a conspiracy that upsets
ruining us as a society. Conspiracy theories are ruining us as a society, and that's so.
All right, let us address it. So, Mark, first off, thank you.
That's essentially all I had to say.
Yeah. First off,
I mean
So I can take it.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
First off, thank you. Doesn't bother us at all. We welcome you calling and sharing that. We've constantly said apologists can call in. Anybody wants to call in and challenge a view, please.
Absolutely.
I think if you go back and listen,
yeah, but I'm your fan. I mean, I love you guys.
Yeah, totally. You're not hurting our
so
feelings.
It's hard for me.
And we love you too. Still,
but it's hard for me because I love you.
True love.
Yeah. So if you go back and listen, I'll just speak for RFM. If you go back and listen to that episode, I think you'll find that RFM, if you actually track what he said at every time he got a chance to sort of get a pause from what Kerry was saying and be able to sort of state what he was thinking, I think you'll find that RFM was offering a counter view quite a bit. With me,
well, I understand.
Yeah. With me, while I
understand that, but
yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Well, with me, while I agree, I'm interested in aliens, deeply interested. And I have a part of me that doesn't believe it. And I have a part of me that does. And the part of me that does is winning at the moment. But even you can see moments in the show where Kerry is saying something and I'm sort of shaking my head because I don't know how to push back against. He's picking books up and he's showing us a pile of books. And there just isn't a way to, I don't know those books. I don't have the information from them. He's just holding them up and saying, if you read these books, you'd know these things. And I have my doubts that I would know those things, but I also can't combat it other than to say that holding up an expert, holding up a book doesn't make a point true. And I think if you go back and listen to the episode, I think you'll see that there's multiple perspectives being articulated. And while not in a debate format where you're sort of putting the other person's ideas down, I think you'll realize that there were 3 perspectives on Wednesday night, and not one of them was allowed to go unchallenged throughout the entire night.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying here.
I think I do. Mark, can I respond?
Mark,
Can I
hold on.
respond, Mark?
Okay, go
You
ahead.
said it a couple of times. I think I got a good beat on it. Let me repeat it, recapitulate it, okay, to
Oh,
make
man.
sure I got it. Is that your concern is that we are allowing Carrie to come on the show and basically unchallenged, even though we're talking about some challenge, talk about his conspiracy theory, which you find problematic. That's what you're upset about, right? For 3 hours.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, essentially, but it's like you guys. There's this idea that we shouldn't give Jacob Hansen much oxygen, right, because of how negative he is.
Excuse me.
And this is kind of how I feel about people who talk about conspiracy theories. Like, we need to squash it.
Okay, here's why I want to respond to you. Okay. Now, I appreciate what you said, and I hope you'll buckle up because I've got some pushback on you. All right. Here's the thing.
No, go ahead.
Conspiracy theories is a pejorative phrase that can apply in certain situations when a conspiracy gets out of hand and goes into ridiculous lengths in order to justify itself. However, conspiracies happen every freaking day. That's why it's a crime that's on the books. A conspiracy to commit a crime is a law that's on the books. I have represented people who've been charged with conspiracy to deliver a controlled substance very frequently. I've represented people like that. So what I want to say is, when people agree together to do something that's criminal, and one of them takes a substantial step toward the completion of that criminal act, that under the law is a conspiracy. So conspiracies do happen all the time. Now, I agree with you that when we're talking about conspiracy theories, what we're tapping into is this idea that a reasonable person, right, would never go that far into thinking that there's that many people involved and that much detail, all this crap that has to go into a conspiracy theory sometimes to make it work. And it ends up becoming more and more complex the more and more it's investigated, and its complexity serves to justify its existence, okay? Now, having said that, what I see you saying is that there's a line between an acceptable conspiracy, which is real, and an unacceptable conspiracy, which is something that is bad for society or that triggers you personally. The problem with that is this, and I will never stop disagreeing with you on this, is that what you're saying is you get to determine when somebody's story gets squashed and doesn't get to be told.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
You said I think that's the last thing you said, was that it should be squashed, that it should be stopped, that someone shouldn't be allowed to have a platform to talk about it, even though it's Carrie Schertz, who's been a friend of ours for years and years and is a post-Mormon and was one of the founders of FAIR. I do not agree with you because I believe that suppressing speech because we don't like it is the first step on the road to a dictatorship. What do you think? You go ahead. You respond to that.
Well, it's not okay. I understand about conspiracies and in crime. I don't think that really fits here. Look, I'm not talking about limiting someone's free speech. Okay, maybe squash is not the right word, but the problem is that, like I said, these conspiracy theories, they're anti-education.
Well, you say that, but that sounds like a truth claim.
To go to school and that kind of stuff. I don't.
Mark, what do you mean it's anti-education? That's a truth claim, like Joseph Smith saw God and Jesus Christ in the Grove. On what do you base that claim? That a conspiracy theory that you don't like, that you think goes too far, is anti-education?
Yeah, but it's like I said, look, if somebody wants to debate a physicist just because they watched a podcast on physics, it doesn't mean that they're qualified to talk to them about that. That's what
so
I'm
you're in
talking
favor
about.
of conspiracies as long as it's done by someone who's qualified to do it. Hey, Mark, I don't want to have to get your phone number from Bill because I'm sensing a Justin moment coming on. Let me say right now, I'm stepping back. I'm apologizing right now, publicly to you directly, so I don't have to get Bill's number for you later after the show and call you up, okay, like I did with Justin.
Oh.
Just tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. Have the last word. I won't say anything more, and we'll just part as good friends.
No, come on. I don't want to do this. Look, like I said, I'm nervous and I'm a big fan. I'm probably not expressing myself the way I should.
That's why I want to back off of this, and I'm saying that I'm being too aggressive. It's the attorney in me, so I just want to give you the chance to say whatever you want to say.
No, like I said, I'm probably too nervous and I don't have my thoughts together, and this is just not going the way I wanted it to go. And
I apologize. It's my fault. Mark.
No, it's
my fault. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
I think we're
okay.
I think we're
talking to be a fun show on a Friday night, and it went sideways, and it's all my fault. So
yeah, Mark, we do appreciate the call, and I do appreciate the criticism. I understand the idea that people watching might perceive that there's credibility in what Carrie's saying, but the way that things work is you allow different ideas into the arena, and without
okay. Here we go. Here's something I can express this. Okay. I just said this about the Austin 5 letter. You criticize Austin for saying, hey, I'm just asking questions here. You and Colby do it all the time. So what's the difference between when you're doing that about Austin 5 and when you're doing it with Carrie Schurz?
RFM, let me say something here.
When Carrie Schurz is essentially saying the same thing.
Yeah.
That's my problem.
Yeah, it's really easy. Two reasons. One is that believing in aliens, for the most part, isn't hurting anybody. Believing in a high demand fundamentalist religion and not seeing what it does to somebody, not noticing that, there's real harm there. Number one.
I know. I spent 55 years in the church.
Number two is that Austin Fife won't show up in any conversation where any degree of his views can be challenged. And
well, that's true.
And Carrie came on having a conversation with the two of us, and RFM challenged him numerous times through the night. So I think at least in those two respects, they're very different instances.
Yeah. Okay.
Appreciate the call.
Like I said, okay. Thanks.
Yeah, take it easy.
Mark, thank you for calling in. Please forgive me. Please forgive me.
Yeah. And we do appreciate it. Like
Is he gone now?
Yeah, he's gone. But I want folks
who didn't forgive me.
Yeah, I want folks who have a beef with anything that we're doing to be able to express themselves. And I sort of understand his point, and I also think he sort of didn't see how they were different or what the point was you were trying to make about it. So, but do appreciate the call, Mark. Okay, I've got Gene down below. I'm going to go to him.
Gene, do you forgive me?
I do.
Excellent.
And I'll say to Mark that you guys would rather have him call in and tell you that he didn't like a show than not watching ever again without you knowing.
Oh, please.
I am so sorry, Mark. It's just, I'm sorry. My blood does something when I hear talk of censorship. I apologize.
Yeah. Plus, the other thing is, if you listen to a podcast and you think you're smart, just start one and it just gets bigger and bigger. You're smarter and smarter every day. And that's my joke for me starting a podcast.
And anyway, I apologize because I'm sure it was very funny, but I was reading what Dan Vogel.
Yeah.
What was the joke again, Gene?
It's just watching a podcast makes you smart and you can talk about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Starting a podcast makes you even more smart.
Or smarter.
Yeah.
So now I'm smarter than any time when I was just a consumer, just because I started a podcast.
Absolutely.
But also for Melissa, this is the book that Matt Harris wrote with Newell Bringhurst, very famous scholar.
Yeah,
these were essays on the gospel topics essays. So this book criticizes the church because the church came, 40% to telling the truth or something in the gospel topics essays, and this book is a collection of writers who wrote sort of, what do you call it, critiques of the essays. And so this is a good
book.
This is a good companion to the gospel topics essays that the church put out. So if you want to know where the church is maybe fudging a little bit or not telling you the whole truth, And so
Cool.
So that's what I wanted to say to Melissa. And yeah, it's the hardest part for me in deconstructing was just trying to figure out who my authentic self was, like who am I, right? For 60 years, you're told this is who you are. This is God through the stake patriarch tells you what you're supposed to do in your life in order to do the things that you're supposed to do, which ends up to be all benefiting the church and not necessarily yourself. And so anyhow, thanks to Bill and RFM. Love you guys. Love everything you're doing. And that's all I had to say is that this was the Matthew Harris book that I posted in a comment.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gene. You're great and very smart.
Bye-bye.
Have a great evening.
Bye-bye. Okay, look at this. Look at this, Bill. Mark. This is Mark. He says, geez, looking at the comments, I wish I'd never called. Okay, Mark, here's the thing. You don't know me, but I know me. And I'm going to be worrying about this into the early morning hours. And I'm not going to be able to get to sleep tonight because of this, because of me. So that's how it's going to be. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was in the wrong. Everything's cool as far as I'm concerned. And I hope that we're good.
Yeah, no worries. Sorry. So we've got 3 more calls to get through. We're coming up on 9:30, so I'm going to try to tackle these. So this says, is the name Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow, I had 2 things to say. Man, Mark just made me add a few more. Can I say a few more things because of Mark?
Let's say
that I wanted to say.
Is this Mark
All right,
again?
I'll say this. I'm totally against censorship, and RFM made that clear, and that's really what see. People like Mark, he sounds like a conspiracy theorist about conspiracy theorists, and he's got his own views of things. But what I'm afraid of with people like that is he seems to be in favor of censorship, which is the worst damn thing that we could possibly go down in the United States of America. Can I get an amen? No censorship. Now, you don't have to give everybody a platform. I mean, I used to listen to Art Bell 25 years ago. I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let me tell you, Art Bell, he didn't believe any of the things that he had on his show. It was entertainment.
He never expressed one moment's disbelief in all the hours and hours I listened to him.
Oh, well, you know what? That's a different sidebar conversation sometime we might have.
Yeah.
No.
And I thought he can't really believe all of this.
He didn't believe in anything. He just had a show and he let people spew their stuff and it was entertainment. Anyway, but that's not why I wanted to call. And I hope Mark really isn't in favor of censorship. That's the worst road we can go down in the United States of America.
Now, Mark is saying, oh my God, I'm not for censorship. Okay, hang on. Oh my God, I'm not for censorship. Jesus, I'm sorry I called. He was nervous, okay? He was nervous.
Yeah.
And I started, I don't know, there was something that was going on, and I apologize. My fault, once again. And then he probably said something in words that he didn't mean the way I took him. And then I thought he meant censorship, and he didn't. And so then, it went, you saw it, right? So I think we've reached a rapprochement.
One thing I want to say
with Mark, so I don't want to.
There's one thing I want to say.
Say something. Then, Bill, by all means, Bill, say something. But let's let that topic.
There's one thing I want to say about Kerry, about Backyard Professor. Even though he's been letting the UFO guys on there, I've been listening to this for a couple 3 months. Kerry, even when you guys had him on, he's like Art Bell. He never says that he believes any of this. He never has once said that. He's just having a good time. He's got a new niche, letting people, blow off their opinions about all this stuff. But if you were, talk to Kerry on the phone, I'm pretty damn sure that he doesn't believe any of it. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to read his mind. But anyway, but he's never said that he buys into it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Never
Bill.
has.
Thank you for the call.
All right. But wait,
Thank you.
no, wait, 2 things.
There's 2 things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason why I call the gospel topic essays and the Joseph Smith papers
Oh yeah.
When somebody has doubts and goes to their bishop, the bishop will, and the stake president, they'll never point him to the gospel topic essays or the Joseph Smith papers, will they? Do they? Have you ever encountered any situation where their bishop or stake president actually pointed them to the gospel topic essays and the Joseph Smith papers when they had questions about their faith? What do you think?
No.
They have, some of them have reported reading all the Joseph Smith papers. That's BS. Some of them have.
That's
joked.
not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked.
I know. I'm trying.
Do you know of any?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Let me finish my answer. So I'm halfway through a sentence
All right,
there.
sorry.
He's doing his RFM impression.
All right, sorry.
So there are by the way, I'm going to let you go and I'm going to answer that off because we do need to move on to other phone calls. So
Okay.
I really appreciate it. I've heard one of them or two of them say they've read them all. That's BS. I've heard one of them joke around that maybe you can say something because I couldn't read them. There's too much of it. Okay. So there's a guy in the top leadership. I think it was Elder Oaks. It was Elder Oaks and Elder Ballard having that conversation that night where we used the sound bites from, but one of them made a joke about it being too much and them not reading it. Pointing anybody to the Joseph Smith papers is not going to be helpful. And no, you're right. No one in the Quorum of the 12 or the First Presidency is suggesting to members that they should read that. Most members just are never going to put that kind of work in. Those are the lazy learners. They're not going to read. And I don't know what else I want to say about that, RFM, but I think that no leaders pointed people towards it, but they have referenced them enough that people would know about them. You got to order them through like Deseret Book. There are lots of money for each volume. There's lots of pages and stuff there. I've got 2 of them on my shelf. That's all I've got. It would be a hard task. You'd have to be a Dan Vogel type scholar to go through all of that and to sort of know what it is that's in there. Anyway, thoughts from you?
I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of what bishops do when people come to them with questions. Yeah. I would expect that if a bishop had knew about the existence of these essays, which I think the majority do not still, that they might. But what I hear over and over is the same story, which is read the Book of Mormon, read general conference talks, pray, attend church, and pay tithing.
Yeah. Okay. Kyle's on, and he wants to talk about UFOs. And then Richard's on the line, and he wants to talk about UFOs.
Is this Kyle McKay, the church historian, my former missionary companion?
No, it isn't. But I just want to say, when we get through tonight, can we put a moratorium on UFOs?
I can't agree to it because I want to do a really condensed version. I think my condensed version, what I hope it does is actually it responds and kind of explodes this whole myth, what I consider to be the myth of UFOs. I'm not saying that I don't know what's going on out there, but I can tell you that what 95% of the people are yakking about sounds just like a religion, and it sounds just like the Mormon religion to me. When you've got certain people who say the aliens, which nobody else gets to see, but the aliens are putting images telepathically in their brain and giving them messages for humanity, and then these guys are the ones who get to tell humanity what the aliens are saying, that's starting to sound a lot like President Nelson to me.
Yeah. I don't mean you have a moratorium. I'm talking about Mormonism After Dark and Mormonism Live. And we have a moratorium for at least a while until something big happens that makes that interesting for some reason. But
well, they're coming back in 2026. We heard it on Wednesday.
Yeah, in January, maybe November, sometime in 28. Yeah, it could be any time.
I wonder what Jesus will have to say about that. Because he's coming back this year.
Kyle, I'm going to let you say something about UFOs, but please, if you'll be quick, just so I can get to the last caller, and we'll go from there.
First, do you believe in UFOs?
He does.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Are you asking me if I believe in UFOs?
Yes.
I don't believe in anything without evidence. I guess I don't believe in anything without evidence. So
I believe in UFOs.
I don't like the word belief.
Do you like the word UFO?
I don't.
You believe?
Do you think there's credible evidence for extraterrestrial life who are currently flying structures around our Earth?
No, I don't. I mean, I've been in this a long time just because I've seen a UFO and it was undeniable, but I don't know what it was. Like, was it the government? Was it foreign entities? Was it Atlantis? Was it Martians? I don't know.
What did you see?
But what I can tell you is that I saw.
Is there a part you
something
can't
so
tell me?
Undeniably.
Wait, Kyle. Is there part of the
I don't know,
story you cannot tell me?
Well, because I don't have much time.
No, tell me. I mean,
I'll
you
be
didn't go
brief.
for a
So
trip,
my
did you?
companion and I didn't get abducted or anything.
Okay, so it should be short enough. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it was in broad daylight. It was about 7. I just looked at my journal entry of our sighting, and I drew a little diagram and a picture and everything, and I just reread the account in my
What's the
journal
date?
that I wrote. It was Sunday, September 2nd, 2007. And it was about 7 o'clock in the evening. We were biking from a part member family's house back towards our apartment.
Location?
So I'm trying to keep it brief. So
Where?
the location was at the intersection of Point View Drive and Huber Village Boulevard, just across from the church building. Actually, is when we ended up stopping. But we watched it for half a mile because
Is this in a city?
Bike. And
Is this in a city, Kyle?
Westerville.
Westerville?
Yes, in Westerville. Yeah,
It's in Utah?
suburb.
Ohio.
It's in Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, 75 miles about from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. If you're familiar, I think Bill Real, you're from Ohio.
I'm from
right?
Sandusky, up north. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you're familiar with the terrain. Yeah. So so it's perfectly round sphere, dark metallic. So we watched it for half a mile. We came up to the stoplight at Point View and Huber Village Boulevard, and so it was about 70 degrees above us, like to the right. So we're to the west, which is our right when we're at the light, and it's probably about 1,000 feet high. My brother's a helicopter pilot, and we've talked about how high things could be. So based on my memory and the size, and an airplane that ended up flying behind it later, it's like Cessna, probably about 1,000 feet high, maybe 30 feet in diameter, just sitting there. So there's no noise, no motors, nothing like that. And it was just sitting there the whole time. It never moved the entire time we were watching it up to when we stopped. And then we were looking up at it, almost not underneath it, but if we would have, gone west, we could have gone directly underneath it. So that's like,
You feel it was that close?
It was very close, very large, very clear, no clouds in the sky, nothing like that. And what really set us off, and like where we knew this was not just like a balloon, or it would have been a massive balloon or a blimp or hot air balloon or something, which I've seen all those things. There's nothing even remotely close to what those look like.
You haven't seen one like this, have you?
Yeah, this is I haven't seen anything since. Never saw anything before, but a white light came on right in the center of it. Just a small little white light, like a flashlight. Nothing, flashy or big or anything. It's just a white light, and the whole thing rotated. The craft rotated towards us, and then it rotated towards the west, and so the light went around back to the other side where we couldn't see it. And so then we were just like freaking out. We should have been stopping traffic or doing something like that, but I was one of those anal missionaries. I was like, okay, we're not acting dignified, Elder, one of those. And we stopped looking at it to cross the street, and when we started biking, when the light had turned green for us to cross, we looked back up and it was gone. So we watched it for 5 to 10 minutes. It never moved other than rotating in the sky. The light came on. We stopped watching it and it was gone. I don't know if it like zipped off, if it disappeared, or I don't know what happened to it. So what I know is that there's undeniable technology, whether it's government or whatever, that exists. Do I believe in UFOs? When you define it as aliens or government conspiracies, I don't believe in anything. I just know what I saw, and something exists, some technology exists. that to me is undeniable because I've seen it, and it was frightening, honestly. Like, we were scared, and I was like, man, what just happened? Where did it go? Did we just get abducted? Was that like people from other planets coming to visit like the Earth where Jesus was crucified? We were just like coming up with all these theories of what it was. Was it Wright-Patterson Air Force Base technology?
It may be more than coincidence.
And anyway, yeah. So I don't know what it was, but it was crazy, and like I still get goosebumps like thinking about it. Like it was intense.
Thank you, Kyle.
But I make no claims. That is what it could be. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for letting me share my story. Appreciate all that you guys do, and have a good evening.
Have a great day.
Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it. You keep working hard. Maybe someday you can be the church historian too.
I've never seen an object that I felt couldn't, like I was so sure that it was something that couldn't be explained by other ways that were normal or standard or known. But my dad and my brother have seen things like that. They've seen what they consider to be unidentified flying objects. And I get it. I understand, folks. UFO just means it's an unidentified object. It can be a government thing. It could be a Chinese surveillance balloon that we just saw from a certain angle and it looked like something else. I understand that. But for the sake of the conversation, we're talking about aliens and UFOs. People have claimed to see things. Kyle says he saw a thing. My dad says he saw a thing. My brother says he saw a thing. I've never seen a thing. So it does to the person who hasn't seen a thing. It's really a strange thing when someone else comes to you and goes, I know this thing. It's sort of, we were talking earlier before the show that there's a similarity between how the believer approaches aliens and how the believer approaches Mormonism. And even in the way Kyle spoke, no offense to Kyle, I appreciate you stopping shy of making any claims. Yeah. But you knew with every fiber of your being that you had seen something that was a technology that wasn't explained otherwise, and it's always that person's experience,
right? And by the way, just for those of you who didn't pick up on it, and I know that most of you did, that's why I made that comment, right? Because Kyle's saying I've seen weather balloons before, and they look this way, and I said, but you've never seen a weather balloon like that, have you?
Yeah.
With the obvious suggestion, obvious to me at least, that he's doing what we all do, which is it's our frame of reference. We're comparing it with what we have seen before, and sometimes skipping the step of thinking, how much crap is up there in the sky that I have never seen before, and now I'm seeing this, and so I think that it's got to be from outer space.
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for it. I don't feel like I need to have one. Fortunately, I don't feel I need to go around debunking stories, right, about UFOs, because I don't see any point in that. There's no purpose in that for me. But, if people want to believe that these are UFOs, that's fine by me. If they want to think there's a conspiracy involved, okay, that's fine too. It gives people meaning in their lives. I'm not saying that they have to have this to have meaning or that they're devoid of meaning without the UFO thing.
Can I ask you a question about?
All I'm saying is, yeah, you can. You can ask me anything you want. But let me just put the tag on this.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that this does give meaning. Rebecca Biblioteca gave the whole thing in a story from 4th grade, where she said she started a UFO club in 4th grade, and all these kids that were friends and some not wanted to be members of the club. So she has the first meeting. She says, the only rule for being in this club is you have to have seen a UFO. They go, okay. Next day, they all come back. Every one of them had seen a UFO, so they can be a member of the club. I think that says it all when we're talking about the human condition and why it is, I think, sometimes these kinds of theories proliferate.
Let me ask you this. So let's assume there's no strong evidence for aliens or UFOs. It's all based on secondhand, third-hand hearsay, all that. People seeing things and thinking they know what they're seeing when they couldn't possibly know all the things they could be possibly be seeing, right? What do you make of RFM, all of the testimony coming out from whether it be military video of a fighter jet dealing with the Tic Tac, other experts who have come forward. And what they're saying is that there's something out there that is moving at speeds and changing direction in ways that can't be explained by normal technology, not even close. Do you accept that video, those pilots, those military personnel are experiencing something that they can't explain under their knowledge base? And what do you make of that?
What I make of it is this, okay, is I'm just going to repeat what my son, who's now almost 40 years old, and an F-16 pilot for the United States Air Force told me when I asked him. I said, hey, can you tell me about this? We're alone. No, he's not going to tell me. He says, I can't tell you because it's classified. All I can tell you is this. People have no idea of the technology that we have and the stuff that's up there in the sky. And that's all he would say. As if to tell me, yeah, this UFO stuff, no, it's us.
Okay. Now let me move on here. I just want to note my girlfriend is watching the show from the other room. She said, LOL, just now watching how this played out on your show. She has a bunch of crying, laughy face emojis. Thanks, RFM. And I just want to note what she's talking about is that we are going to be going to this now for Valentine's Day. This is My Broadway Valentine. I bought tickets to this at the beginning of our show. I didn't want this to be sold out too. So Teresa and I will be going to My Broadway Valentine. She just wanted to thank you for reminding me and getting that ball moving. And now she actually does have somewhere to go on Valentine's Day, and we won't be sitting at home with the old chillin' Netflix. So there's
RFM
that.
Saving relationships one at a time.
One at a time. So thank you, RFM. And then I also wanted to just, before we grab the last phone call really quick, I wanted to plug your show that you think will be coming out tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow night. I'm sorry. Caramba, that's very funny. It says, I saw a chair move all by itself once. I didn't realize that if I were superstitious, I would superimpose whatever my biased frame of reference onto the unknown reason. I just accepted I didn't know. The chair moved all by itself once? Holy crap. Okay. I'm glad I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Now we can see the entire thumbnail featuring yours truly. I never object to a big picture of me. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the bigger the picture, the better the thumbnail.
Yeah. So we'll see how this does. We're playing around, folks. We've got a YouTube expert who's helping us a little bit with trying to figure out how to best optimize what we're doing to catch the attention of as many people as we can. And so I'm gonna try this one tomorrow with your show, RFM. If you approve it, sounds like you do. You don't mind the big picture of Radio Free Mormon there. Lawyer examines Huntsman versus LDS Church.
You still have to get it several factors larger in order for it to approach life size.
Yeah, there you go. So there's that. So folks, check that out tomorrow night. It should show up at about 7 p.m. Mountain Time, assuming everything goes well. And that doesn't go all the time that way, but almost always. So we'll see how that goes. Let me grab the last caller, and then we can close out the show. And I hope folks have had fun. This will be Richard.
Especially Mark.
Yeah. And Mark, by the way, folks.
See, I'm going to be worrying about this all night. I'm sorry, what was that? Was that me or was that you?
That was great. No, that was Richard who wants to talk about UFOs, I guess. So
I thought I heard some kind of a whoopee cushion sound.
I'm gonna let you go, Richard. It seems like you got your point across. Have a great night.
That was it?
That was it. That's all Richard wanted to do. It's funny stuff, Richard. Haha, that's great.
Okay, look, I'm in charge of offending the listeners. You're supposed to make nice. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, Richard, that was very funny. It was very nice. I can't imagine how long you were holding that. Shows a lot of discipline in order to get it to, that trumpet to sound at the right moment like you did.
That was great. Richard, looks like he had some chili tonight.
That sounded like a UFO that just got hit by a radar blast.
This episode of Mormonism After Dark brought to you by Taco Bell. Make a run for the border. Grab your fourth meal today. RFM, it's 9:46. We're way past.
We
closing.
are, but I haven't started worrying. I'll be worrying all night long. Thanks to Mark. No thanks to me and the way I responded. I'm taking full responsibility for this one, Mark. If I ever see you, you hit me up and the first drink's on me, okay?
All right. Well, that's another episode of Mormonism After Dark. Anything else from you, RFM?
No, that's it. That's it.
All right.
But thank you, everybody, for watching. Please join us next week. I'm going to try and have that out tomorrow about the lawyer examines the that case, the Huntsman versus LDS Church case. So that should be up. The huge sell factor on that is going to be that it's only going to be an hour long. Okay. So you get everything you need to know in an hour, and that should cover everything. It may be more than you need to know, but hopefully it'll be kind of interesting. You might learn a little bit about the law. And, when I read those different opinions, I gained an appreciation, a renewed appreciation for opinions different from mine, because they were actually kind of persuasive to me. And I talk about that as well.
Excellent. So, folks, check us out at the Mormon Newscast on Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, Mormonism Live. This coming Wednesday, 6:20 p.m., we're going to have 21st Century Saints on, and they're going to be talking about their protocols that they have suggested for safeguarding the vulnerable and the children among the Latter-day Saint population. So join us Wednesday for Mormonism Live for that, 6:20 p.m.
That's going to be incredible. And the week after that on Mormonism Live, we'll be talking about Bigfoot.
So join us then, dear Jesus, and we'll see you next Friday for another episode of Mormonism After Dark. Good night, everybody.
Good night.